everyone, welcome to my channel, Mercury Fire. So today we're going to be discussing The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. Specifically, we're going to be discussing The Too Clever Fox. Now this one was my favorite story because of its morals and specifically talking about loneliness and all of the traps it can get you in if you just do things out of loneliness and because you just want to be around people, as well as it also talks about problem solving and just believing in yourself.
I love the plot, its deep morals, the focus on problem solving and loneliness. I love fables, fairy tales, short stories, you name it, with animals in it. And it gets real in the animal world. So it centers around the runt of the litter, Koja, meaning handsome, as a joke since he was supposed to be ugly. And his mother didn't even think to name him because she believed he wouldn't even make it past the first year. So I really love how this focuses on not feeling sorry for yourself. So I love time Koja was insulted, he always had a color response, and he never got in his feelings, panicked when he got into traps. One of my favorite instances where he gets out of trouble was on page 2 when he is cornered by the hounds and declares he is a magic fox and he can grant one wish before he dies. And when the hounds start arguing over which wish to grant, he sneaks away. The main problem of this story is that in the woods, the feared hunter Lev Jurek has come to Povos, and everybody is frightened because he's no ordinary hunter and he leaves no tracks, his rifle makes no sound, and he's essentially silent with no trace. And when the big black bear, Ivan Gostov, goes missing, the woods are and the animals are just scared to death, really, of what's going to happen. And Koja is tasked with trying to observe Lev Jurak, this famed hunter. He's able to realize that Sofiya is going to be a key in getting the woods safe or rid of Lev Jurek. So after some days of observation, of observing Jurek, the hunter, and his sister Sofiya, Koja comes up with the belief that Sofiya is going to be the answer into getting rid of the hunter. Is Sofiya, she knew just how to play those heartstrings. As Koja follows her, she cries. Over the time of telling stories, Koja begins to trust Sofiya. Sofiya has offered him food before, and he realizes you must never take food from humans. But he slowly lets her guard down. So on page 72, after Koja takes some food and the food makes him fall asleep, he's woken up to find Sofiya's got a knife at him and his paws are bound, and she finds out that Sofiya is actually the one who's been the hunter. And it's kind of eerie, the lesson learned in this story. I'll read from page 72. She says, "I wanted to help you. You always do," murmured Sofiya, "if you can resist the sight of a pretty girl crying." Koja is saved when the nightingale, Lula, comes flying over and starts pecking at Sofiya's face. And from then on, she is able to help Koja escape from the trap. But it's a very interesting tale on, being careful of loneliness and how it can get us into just literally so many traps. And the last story, When Water Sang Fire, is a pretty dark story, but something similar happens in the story when the main character, Ulla, is betrayed by her friend Signy. And the Prince Rafi, she realizes that all she ever saw her was for a defense. So pretty eerie, but some great morals in both of those stories. So in Water Sang Fire, it says, "Allah, my fierce Allah, you knew I was never strong, my fierce Allah." She saw then what she had been to Signy all along, a shelter, a defense. Allah had been the only rock to cling to, so Signy had held on. But now the seas had calmed and she was slipping away to seek other shelter. She was letting go. So you got to be careful. People always coming to you for, to be their shelter as well. Clip of Leigh Bardugo sitting down with the YouTube channel Fictitious Podcast discussing what
received wisdoms the kind of received wisdom we get from these tales, and that part of us is questioning, and there's this kind of chord that's being struck that doesn't quite sit right for us. In order for us to enjoy fairy tales, we really have to elide a lot of the questions that they ask. So instead of doing